think he hired me because I was young and I was really up for doing anything. You know, no matter what he said, yeah, we need somebody who can do that. You know, that's fine, that's fine. I felt like I was being interviewed for a prep school job. You know, can you also start a sailing program? I said, what's that got to do with being a counselor? I don't know, but they want a sailing. It was kind of like, I imagine people who get jobs at prep schools, like, can you also coach the wrestling team and teach chemistry? So it was kind of, it was that kind of school at the time where that phrase, other duties as assigned, really meant something. I mean, I find it inconceivable now, but during the Kent State protest, and there was that massive move to Washington, students all over the country, faculty actually voted to end classes close to a month earlier than anticipated, so that students could, a month may be an exaggeration, but certainly a couple weeks is not, so that students could go and participate in that. I find that, you know, it was my generation. I mean, I found it wonderful and whatever. Now I look back and I think, can you conceive of any college faculty, not just this faculty, voting so that it's, you know, different time. And one woman that I'm sure you knew, Maggie Horsley, who had kind of a set speech that she gave the faculty at the beginning of every year, because she was chair of the Student Affairs Committee, and she was for years. And she talked about the rite of passage, and that you had to look at college students and, you know, rite of passage kind of thing. And that was, and I was very taken with that. And actually, Maggie was one of the people I'd met when I first came here. And the interview, the notion that what students wanted then, and is what I think they want now, is I think the freedom to live their life as they want to live it, make mistakes if they have to make it, be picked up if they fall and make a mistake, but not penalized for making that mistake. In fact, encouraged in some ways to make mistakes, you know, within reason. I'm not talking about going out and shooting somebody, but, you know, the notion that try it, and if it doesn't work, and I mean this in a personal sense, you know, so if smoking a little dope is something you've got to try to see, try it. And if it turns out to be not a great thing, then it turns out not to be a great thing. But that kind of notion that you make mistakes and you get picked up, and that, I mean, I was not a rules regulation kind of person. I thought it was a waste of time and energy. I mean, if I had one discussion, I must have had 1,000 discussions about why do you let students drink on campus. And it was such an obvious answer, because they're going to. And my job isn't to worry about whether they're drinking. You know, my job is, if there's a problem, to deal with it. So we used to talk a lot about dealing with behavior, not dealing with the rule, the regulation. So good behavior is good behavior, whether you're 50 or 15, and bad behavior is bad behavior, whether you're 50 or 15. It has nothing to do with the fact that the law says something is bad because you're 15, not 50. And we live in a culture where adults, people are going to party, they're going to do this, they're going to do... And what was the point of driving that underground so that it became... I felt the same way about drugs, frankly. Maybe not every drug for every person every time, but I certainly felt the same way about pot, which was, what is the point of doing it down behind some bar somewhere in town, as opposed to doing it in an environment where it's a problem for you, we'll find out about it. And that was always what was important to me. I always wanted to have a relationship with students, and certainly with student staff, where if there was a problem, they would come and tell me, and they wouldn't fear that they were going to get kicked out of school. I mean, I'd rather know that, you know, you're using even a more serious drug than marijuana, and that you're having a problem with it, than not know, than not, you know. So the deal you have to make then is, if you tell me, I'm going to protect you. I'm going to be on your side. Right. I mean, we really believed that you were doing students no service. You weren't helping them in that rite of passage if they couldn't make a mistake now and then. when I started this job, almost everybody who did Dean of Students work had the same background I did. We almost all had backgrounds in the counseling end of the spectrum. Now everybody's got a degree in higher education management. So it's a very different intellectual concept. And I think people have lost sight of the fact that the very best students a college has, the kids that become presidents of SGAs and RAs, don't need you. I mean, they're going to do that whether you're there or not. I mean, you're not making them good kids. Thanks goes to mom or dad or whomever turned out this kind of thing. The kids that need you are the kids that get in a bar fight downtown. They're the ones whose life you can impact. And they're